Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Meeting. I will call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is public appearances for non-agenda items. We've got nobody in chambers and nobody has submitted a form. So we'll move on and I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the November 4th meeting.
I so move we approve the November 4th minutes.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
None.
All right. All in favor of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on, report from the Director of Public Works. Tim.
Thank you. A couple project updates. The lane striping was completed on Fitch-Rona Road, Nesbitt Road, and Seminole Highway late last week. All that remains for the striping is the crosswalks, stop bars, and bike symbols. Looking to complete that work this week. The 2025 ARPA street resurfacing project, we had opened bids a couple weeks ago. There's an item on tonight's agenda to award the construction project to Payne and Dolan Incorporated. And we would commence construction for that project in spring 2025. Our 2024 sidewalk replacement project, we commenced construction last week, Monday, November 11th, and we're still on schedule to complete that work by the end of this month. Our Fitch-Rona Road Goose Lake Stormwater Project, we're working on updating the existing stormwater model, and this past month we completed the survey and wetland delineation for the project. So once the model's complete, we'll start the design work for that project. Weld number 12, the outer casing has been installed, like I mentioned last meeting, to 73.5 feet. We're waiting for the contractor to restart drilling. We're anticipating the drilling to restart this week. And we're still on schedule to complete in January, February 2025. And then our water tower D, we opened bids last week, Thursday, November 14th. We received 2 bids for that project. The apparent low bidder is McGuire Iron Incorporated at $4,088,000. And the engineer's estimate, which was $4.3 million. So the bid came in under the engineer's estimate. And with that, does anyone have any questions?
Just curiosity, we tend to use waterborne, right? The paint, or you use an epoxy? And how much life are you getting out of
on
them?
these 3 roads are epoxy.
Oh, okay. How much life are you getting out of those?
We're getting about 6 to 7 years.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing further, I'll move on to the agenda proper here. Agenda 5A, I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2024-0-33, amending Chapter 68 to lower the speed limit on West Clayton Road to 25 miles per hour.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay. And just an administrative note here, the referral sheet indicates that this went to TTC on November 14th, but that did not happen. Our December meeting for TTC will be moved up a week so that this can appear back in front of council on the December 10th meeting. Tim, go ahead and tell us what's going on here.
Sure. Ordinance number 2024-0-33 is to amend the speed limit on West Clayton Road, which is currently 35 miles per hour. The speed limit is no longer appropriate as West Clayton Road was disconnected at the railroad tracks. The crossing was removed a couple years ago and is no longer a through street. The section to the west of the railroad tracks is a dead end, and the section to the east of the railroad tracks dead ends on both sides. Also, Herman Road coming into West Clayton Road on east of the tracks is also 25 miles per hour coming into the neighborhood. So we're looking to make both sections on the west side of the track and then on the east side of the track a neighborhood street and reduce the 35 miles per hour down to 25 miles per hour.
Any discussion?
I haven't looked on it in Google Map, and I haven't driven through there, but you said the track was removed. Do we have barricades across it, or can they still traverse across it?
You cannot traverse across it. The crossing was taken out, pavement was removed, and I believe there's 2 ditches on both sides of the railroad tracks that make it hard to go across.
I feel like there's barricades as well, but you can get across on foot if you go around it, and I don't know if that's officially sanctioned or not.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you couldn't go at 35 miles an hour across it right now. Doesn't sound like it.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor of ordinance 2024-0-33 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Moving on, agenda 5B. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution R15924, approving the purchase of 4 2025 Ford F-150 Lightning trucks.
I'll motion R15924.
I'll second it.
Okay. Tim?
Yes, the CIP included funds for the scheduled replacement of vehicles. Ewald Automotive Group provided a quote based on the Wisconsin state bid for the 2025 Ford F-150 Lightning EV truck. We're looking for approval to purchase 4 2025 Ford F-150 Lightning trucks at a price of $45,993 per truck, for a total amount of $183,972. And then also looking for authorization for Public Works to sell at auction the 2011 GMC 2500, the 2000 Chevy Silverado, one 2012 Chevy Colorado, and one 2003 Dodge Dakota. So those would be the trucks that they're replacing, these new Lightnings.
I'll open it up for questions.
Just curiosity on the F-150 Lightnings, the electric. I haven't heard really good things about them. Are we having issues with ours or batteries?
We have 2 Lightnings right now, one in utilities and one in streets. Haven't had any issues with them. Staff really likes them, enjoys driving with them. The one knock that they may have is the bed isn't as long as a normal pickup truck. So what streets and utilities have done is they bought a rack, which kind of helps stack it within the bed. So they've been able to transport just as much stuff with that rack.
Dave Herbst.
Tim, this isn't a fair question. I'm going to ask you anyway. All my years on Board of Public Works, we've never ordered 4 trucks at one time. I guess Dave Wilborn could probably echo that. I recognize these are pretty old. I'm just curious how we got to make sure we're not setting a precedent or jumping the gun just to get electric vehicles. It seems to me these need to be replaced based on their ages. It's just I've never seen us 4 at one time.
Yeah, and part of the reason too is the city's held off on buying and replacing these vehicles, so it's kind of come up all in 1 year. And like you had mentioned, the 4 we are replacing, there's a 20-year-old vehicle in there, a 19-year-old vehicle. The 2000 Chevy Silverado has 111,000 miles. The 2011 GMC has 135,000 miles. We are starting to have issues with those where they are breaking down out in the field, and we're spending staff time and resources to, go out there, figure out what's the issue, and that's happened several times. I believe with the Chevy Colorado that we have.
I'm anticipating that you didn't ask for it, that we're not requiring additional charging stations at our public works facilities for these.
So with these four Ford Lightnings right now, Ford has a deal where you purchase a 2025 Lightning, you get a free charger. So we would be getting 4 chargers for this. Public Works right now has 2 at our facility. The 2 Lightnings that we have down there get charged once a week. So we wouldn't look to install any more down at Public Works. We'd look to potentially install those up here at City Hall. The city also purchased some Mach-E's, which are also getting the free chargers. So we have kind of had some internal meetings figuring out, where to put them, whether it's in the library garage. Police have a garage that we could install some in there, and then also potentially some out in the parking lot.
Excuse me,
Thank you,
Tim.
Tim.
So what you're saying is we shouldn't go to the auction to buy any of these? Continuously having trouble with them breaking down?
Correct.
Okay.
Don't advertise it. We no one heard us say that.
I've got a couple of questions too. So these are all crew cab, and is that like we need to have crew cabs because you were mentioning the bed's a little shorter.
I believe they only come in crew cab. I don't think that's an option where they don't.
Okay. And has staff been able to make good use of the frunk on these things?
They do really enjoy the frunk, and I learned that term this morning. That is actually a term. It's the front trunk. So where the engine normally goes, they call a frunk. It's a basically trunk in the front of the vehicle that has extra storage. So they do enjoy that for their tools, and that has come in very helpful where the tools aren't going in the cab.
Okay. So where we normally put a toolbox in the bed, they could hopefully get all their tools in the front
Absolutely.
trunk. Okay. One line item I noticed in there, it said 4 keys. Is that 1 for each truck, or is that 4 for each truck?
I believe it's 4 for each truck that they come with.
And you get 4 keys for $120?
It seems very reasonable.
I just remember the time I tried to get a new replacement key for one of my cars, and they wanted $400.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I had one replaced.
And your first
just
one?
short of 400.
Okay, anything further? All right, all in favor of Resolution R-15924, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Moving on, 5C. I'm looking for a motion to approve Resolution R-17324, approving agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Oak Meadow Reserve.
I motion we approve R-17324.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Okay, Tim, go ahead.
The City of Fitchburg Common Council on July 23rd, 2024 conditionally approved the Oak Meadows Reserve plat. The land division ordinance requires the execution of a contract for public improvements prior to the signature of the plat by the city clerk. Board of Public Works has reviewed and approved the agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat. We're looking for approval of the agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Oak Meadow Reserve, subject to final review by the city attorney and the city engineer.
Any questions from the board?
No. Just in development and growth, this is good, it's infill, but, and I don't know if you can charge developers this or not, but with all that infill, I think it's Noble Court, you're going to have to put four-way signals in there at some point in time. At what point do we reach enough peak volume here with all the infill that you're going to put them in there, and can we start pulling some money from developers to help offset that for you?
That's something we can look at, but this project is only 11 lots, I believe, with one outlot that's for stormwater, so that this particular project wouldn't necessarily trip that.
No, but it's the cumulative growth that you're going to have in the area that the last developer in there, you're not going to want to ding.
Right.
They kind of want to get them all at the same time. So you could charge as these developments grow to help offset the infrastructure you have to put in eventually?
Correct.
Okay.
Dave?
Piggybacking on Don's question, if it became necessary, is that something we could do? I believe we could do an area assessment to cover that cost. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that would be an option.
I guess. Do we have traffic count information there? Do we know how close are we to needing some sort of signalization at that intersection?
I'd have to check with Ross, our transportation engineer, to see if any recent studies have been done in that area. I can follow up with him tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, just because you got industrial growth on the one side and residential, and eventually you get problems with people trying to turn or cross all four lanes. And
yeah, and I think there's a crosswalk there, but it's not marked, at least not on the satellite imagery that's currently available. Anything further? Okay. I'll call the vote. All in favor of R17324, say aye.
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 Unanimous again. Moving on. 5D. Looking for a motion to approve Resolution R17424, approving Second Amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Highfield Reserve.
I so move we approve Resolution R-174-24.
Second.
Okay. Tim, what's this one?
City of Fitchburg Common Council on April 12th, 2022, by Resolution R60-22, approved the final plat for Highfield Reserve. And then on April 26, 2022, by Resolution R67-22, the subdivision improvements for the plat of Highfield Reserve was approved by Common Council. Subsequently to that, there was a partial assignment of assumptions of agreements for the subdivision improvements in the plat of Highfield Reserve by Resolution R104-22 on May 24th, 2022. And then on March 8th, 2023, by Resolution R4123, a first amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Highfield Reserve. So this is the second amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements to the plat, and the subdivider has requested a modification to the phasing plan in the agreement to include 9 versus 4 phases for installation of the public improvements, and to also extend the completion date for these improvements. A second amendment is needed in order to modify the agreement. We're looking for approval of the second amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Highfield Reserve, subject to the final review by the city attorney and city engineer.
Dave, go ahead.
I think this is mostly due, originally they thought St. Ambrose Academy might want to build a school there, and I think that fell through, and I think this is the result of a different plan for that. Tim, they're making a lot of work for you and your team. I assume we can build a developer for this?
Yes, all work related to this development would be charged back, inspection and reviews, testing.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board?
Tim, I'm just going to ask you the same question on all these developments and growth. Does Ross look at the impact to the infrastructure, and at what point in time is there, what's your mechanism where it trips, let's do a surcharge, because we know we're going to start increasing volumes that we're going to have to start putting signals or some growth or development?
Well, as part of it, any development, there's a traffic impact analysis that we look at. So if there is any impacts associated with the development, the subdivision improvement agreement would include, any signals, roundabouts that the developer would have to construct it as part of this.
But that's Ross probably looking right at the development. I'm thinking downstream here.
Well, no, we do look at the traffic impact analysis does take into account downstream.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor of approving Resolution R174-24 signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous again. 5E, 181-24. Tim, you want this postponed to a particular date?
To our next Board of Public Works meeting. So our first meeting in December.
Okay, so I'll look for a motion to postpone this resolution until our next meeting.
I'll motion we postpone R18124.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Deferred.
All in favor of postponing Resolution R181-24 to our next meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's
Aye.
going to be the first meeting in December?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Moving on to 5F, I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution R189-24, granting an underground electric easement on Lot 1 in CSM 5147. That's the Nine Springs Golf Course.
I'll motion that we approve R18924.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Tim, tell us what's going on here.
Madison Gas and Electric Company is proposing to install a redundant electric distribution line along the Traceway Drive area. Madison Gas and Electric Company needs an easement in order to install this distribution line and has requested an easement within the Nine Springs Golf Course. This redundant electric distribution line will improve electric service, reliability throughout the Traceway Drive neighborhood, including for the North Fish Hatchery Hub and the Nine Springs Golf Course. Looking for approval granting an underground electric easement on Lot 1 in CSM 5147, which is the Nine Springs Golf Course, to Madison Gas and Electric Company.
Go ahead, Dave.
I'd add, this is an enhancement to our existing residents to have a more reliable electric system, and it, outside of a little bit of administrative cost, it's not costing the taxpayers. Of course, the cost gets borne in MG&E's rates that we all pay, but anytime we can reasonably improve an area's reliability, especially in our urban areas, I feel it's well worth it.
Other discussion?
Tim, I'm trying to look at your plat on the Lot 1. Where's it connecting to? Where's the other easements on the other lots? I see a dashed line, but it's not right on the property line. So I'm just trying to follow where they're connecting the rest of their system to on these other lots.
I think it may go north. There was a sketch. I'd have to look at my email.
You see a junction box somewhere, usually there's a S&C green box, a sectionalizing box that they would tie into, as a normally open or loop point they could close.
Bill, if
remotely.
you look at page 49, it looks to me like it's all on Lot 1, right?
Which page of the?
That's on page, oh yeah, 49, it's all on Lot 1.
It is. I think the question is, it looks kind of like an island right now. So what is it? What are they hooking up to?
Yep, that's what I was wondering.
Well, I mean, they're hooking into their existing system. As far as how they get there, they have all the existing easements. So that this easement document's not going to show the existing easement. It just is the sketch and legal for what we're giving them. So, I mean, if you want me to follow up, I can request that from MG&E and see how it ties into their system. But for this particular document, we don't show that. We just show the sketch and legal of the easement on our property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I saw the dashed lines in Lot 2, and I'm thinking, it's not lining up, but.
If you look at like a Google map, just by the tennis courts off of Traceway on the southwest corner, it looks like there's a little green box, so maybe that's part of it.
Okay.
And this is a permanent easement?
Yeah, here I have a sketch here I can show you guys on my. So the new easement is this green area, and the blue is the system that we're tying into.
Oh, so it is jogging.
Yeah.
So that dashed line is where they got connected. Oh, I'm sorry. So it is jogging, yep. All right. So is the easement have to reflect the jog in our lot? I mean, we're showing it right along the property line when it has to jog over a little bit to meet up with the other blue line in Lot 2.
Where the junction box is?
Yeah, if I'm...
And they may have changed that jog, that may no longer be required. The sketch and legal that we got from them that you guys are approving right now on the agenda item was from MG&E. So they provided that to tie into their system.
There it is.
So the blue line in that other one
May be
extends
outdated,
from our.
may have been revised
Okay.
since they sent that to us. So this may just go straight and then come on.
I got you.
Well, I think the northwest terminus of that green easement looks like it might land at that existing junction box. So everything to the west of there.
They
is
may already
in
have.
place.
Okay, but it looks like from this one, the green is the lot 1. And it doesn't match what they requested in the plat. So I just didn't want to have to revisit this at a later point.
Is
Because
that lot 1? What is it?
Yeah, lot 1 is the city's property, which looks to be the green in that other one. But if they since revise this one where they're turning at 90 degrees, then it's a moot point. It's
Any further discussion? All right, I will call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R18924 signify by saying aye.
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 Again, unanimous. All right, moving on. 5G, I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution R19424, authorizing acceptance of the ARPA street resurfacing bid.
A motion we approve R19424.
Thank you, Don. Do I have a second?
Holy shit. I'll second it.
Okay. Tim, introduce this one for us.
The ARPA street resurfacing project is included in the 2024 ARPA TID closure investment plan, which was adopted on March 12th, 2024 by Resolution R16-24. The Phase 2 ARPA street resurfacing project consists of approximately 6,600 tons of hot mix asphalt pavement, 21,400 square yards of pulverizing pavement, 3,300 linear feet of concrete curb and gutter, 700 square yards of landscape restoration, as well as other miscellaneous items of work. All work for this project takes place within the Belmar Renaissance on the Park neighborhood, which is a qualified census tract in a City of Fitchburg Healthy Neighborhoods initiative. Public Works Department has prepared construction plans, specifications, and obtained competitive bids. Project was advertised by legal notice in the Wisconsin State Journal on October 18th, 2024 and October 25th, 2024, as well as posted on questcdn.com. The November 1st, 2024 bid opening, we received 3 sealed bids, which were publicly open with the results listed on the attached bid tab. Payne and Dolan Incorporated's low bid of $988,469.25 was found to be in compliance with the bid specifications. There is an available balance within the ARPA street resurfacing budget of $688,261, and there's available funding in the amount of $199,055.25 within the street resurfacing, water, sewer, and stormwater budgets. And then based on the current status of the projects funded by ARPA, it is expected that there will be approximately $200,000 of grant and interest earnings available for additional projects. So we're looking for approval to award the Phase 2 ARPA Street Resurfacing Project to Payne and Dolan Incorporated in the amount of $988,469.25, plus a 10% contingency of $98,847 for a total of $1,087,316.25. So that there is a budget amendment associated with this resolution, and that's to move the $200,000 in ARPA funding to the general fund, and then also to move that $200,000 from the general fund to the capital projects fund for this project. And with that, does anyone have any questions?
Dave, go ahead.
Tim, did we have some ARPA projects for water main replacements in the same area? Or maybe we've done those? I know we get a lot of breaks in that area. I'm wondering if this could piggyback with the water main replacement project, or maybe that's not even on the table.
Absolutely. We went in there in 2023, replaced some water main along with the streets we resurfaced. And then as part of this project, Crescent and Aztec has some water main that we're going to be replacing on those two streets. So we did coordinate with utilities to kind of remove those sections where we saw a lot of breaks. I know specifically Crescent, at least since I've been here the last 2 years, has had a couple breaks. So that'll be good to get that replaced along with this project.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
What's the age of the water infrastructure there? Are we? Is it at its expected end of life?
Yes.
It is. Okay. So if we're replacing the water mains, does that effectively upgrade these from a resurfacing to a reconstruction?
So we are pulverizing, so they are getting, the old pavement's getting removed and then new pavement down. We're not doing anything with the base, and then I believe there are a couple streets that are getting milled and resurfaced, but the final product will be all new pavement, no chip seal or anything.
Okay, and so the base isn't going to be messed with except to the extent that it has to be for the water main work?
Correct.
Okay. Don, Dave?
Just for my clarity again, the ARPA funds, I think, are federal funds?
Correct.
And we have those in hand. They can't be rescinded.
They would have to be rescinded if we didn't utilize this money. So if we didn't get this under contract by the end of this year, that money we would have to then send back to the federal government.
It has to be
awarded,
allocated by the end of 2024 and spent by the end of 2026, if memory serves.
Okay.
And that's kind of a point I'd like to make about this resolution too. If any of our projects that come in under budget for ARPA is additional funding, that money would be utilized towards this project too. So that, if any additional money on top of that $200,000 were to become available, this resolution allows it to be allocated to this project.
Dave, go ahead.
Just to add, I think this is the type of project that was intended by the government. This is a neighborhood, hardworking people, but not, these are not high-income people that live in this neighborhood. They go about living their lives. It's an older neighborhood, so maybe streets get beat up a little more. And I think this is I'm glad we selected this area. It's in my district, but I think showing the people that we want to take care of their infrastructure here gives them a better sense of that they're valued by Fitchburg.
And this project will also kind of complete that entire neighborhood with new streets. With the work we did in 2023, this will cover the remaining streets, so all the streets will have a new asphaltic surface on them.
Any further discussion? Okay, I will call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R194-24 signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous. Moving on to 5H. I'm looking for a motion to approve Resolution R195-24, approving Second Amendment to the Agreement for Subdivision Improvements in the Inspiration at Swan Creek CSM.
I motion we approve.
Thank you, Don. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, thanks, Dave. Tim, walk us through this.
The City of Fitchburg Common Council on April 9th, 2024, by Resolution R40-24, approved an amended comprehensive development plan for the Swan Creek to change the proposed development from senior housing to a 60-unit high-density residential development. City of Fitchburg Common Council then approved an agreement for subdivision improvements in the Inspiration at Swan Creek by Resolution R164-21 on September 28th, 2021. Then a First Amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements to Inspiration at Swan Creek by Resolution R138-24 on July 23rd, 2024. So this is the Second Amendment to the Subdivision Improvement Agreement, and it's a minor amendment to the specific implementation plan, which has been submitted to reduce the number of residential units from 60 to 57 within this development. This second amendment to the agreement needs to be updated so that the park fees correspond with the revised number of units. So we're looking for approval of the Second Amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements in the Inspiration at Swan Creek, subject to the final review by City Attorney and the City Engineer.
Any discussion? I got a question. Tim, do you happen to know why the change in the number of units?
I don't know the reason behind that. I can find that out and email that tomorrow.
Just curious. And the dollar amount for this, there are fees that the developer pays in lieu of parkland dedication if they don't have enough land, and then there's the park improvement fees. I see a section here on the park improvement fees. Okay, parkland dedication. Okay, so it's essentially, yeah. So they had no land to dedicate, so they were paying the full amount for all 3 units. Okay.
Is this the same outfit that was going to do the senior housing?
I believe it's a different developer.
Different developer? Okay.
Anything else? All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R195-24 signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous again. Moving on to item I. I'm looking for a motion to approve Resolution R224, authorizing budget amendment for additional funding of yard waste grinding services.
I motion we approve R224.
Thank you, Don. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Tim, what's going on here?
The City of Fitchburg contracts out the yard waste grinding services to process yard waste that has been dropped off at the City of Fitchburg recycling facility. The city had previously authorized $17,100 at a rate of $450 per hour for yard waste grinding in 2024. The city has seen an increase in drop-off yard waste in recent years, particularly this current year 2024, as a result of spring storm damage, requiring an estimated 22 additional hours of grinding this year, which equates to $9,900 at that hourly rate. So the interest on investment account has a surplus of approximately $44,000 due to continued high interest rates earned on cash balances within the fund. So we're looking to amend the 2024 refuge and recycling budget to include $9,900 for yard waste grinding funded with this additional interest earnings. And then we're looking to authorize an increase to the purchase order with Urban Forest Service. That's our contractor that does the grinding services for us, and increase their purchase order by $9,900.
Comments, questions from the board?
Maybe just more clarity. I think last meeting Dave had asked, when he went out there, he said there's quite a bit of brush out there. Is that typical or normal? And I think the answer was back, that's kind of typical. It sounds like we're saying that it's not typical because we got a lot. What I'm wondering is, based on all the trees that we have and some old growth that's in there, for next budget, do we have to up it? Do it?
Yeah, so as part of the 2025 budget that was recently approved, we did increase that number to reflect kind of what we saw this past year in 2024.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's nothing further, I'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution R224, signify by saying aye.
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 The vote is unanimous. Moving on to 5J, Resolution R20124, approving an agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Thermo Fisher subdivision. Who's going to move approval?
I'll move approval.
I second.
Okay. Tim, tell us about this one.
The City of Fitchburg Common Council on March 26, 2024 conditionally approved the Thermo Fisher subdivision plat. The land division ordinance requires the execution of a contract for public improvements prior to the signature of the plat by the city clerk. Board of Public Works has reviewed and approved the agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat. We're looking for approval of the agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Thermo Fisher subdivision, subject to final review and minor edits by the city attorney and the city engineer.
Discussion.
What's the ultimate build out here? Because this one, not that they're selling off a parcel to the YMCA. What's the ultimate build out in that whole area? Is that, maybe it's just something you show me later so I can visualize what it's going to look like.
Yeah, the zoning's a specialized industrial, so I believe Thermo Fisher's keeping the northern lot that they've subdivided, and then the southern lot on the corner of McKee will be going to the YMCA for their new building.
So there's no zoning change or anything needed?
No zoning change needed. That's all been completed.
Anything else? Okay. All those in favor of resolution R20124 signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous again. Moving on to 5K, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution R20224, accepting a partial assignment and assumptions of agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Thermo Fisher subdivision.
I so move we approve resolution number R-202-24.
Second.
Okay. Tim, I presume this is related to the previous resolution.
You are correct. The City of Fitchburg approved these agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Thermo Fisher subdivision with Thermo Electron Scientific Instruments, LLC on November 26, 2024 by resolution R20124 24. So whereas the Young Men's Christian Association of Dane County Incorporated would like to purchase a portion of the plat associated with the above agreement from Thermo Electron Scientific Instruments LLC, and to do so is requesting city approval of a partial assignment and assumptions agreement for the portion of the plat they will develop. Looking for approval of the attached assignment and assumptions of agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Thermo Fisher subdivision, subject to final review and minor edits by the city attorney and the city engineer.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I will go ahead and call the vote. All those in favor of Resolution R 20224 signify by saying aye.
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 Again, unanimous. Moving on. I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution R 20424, accepting a public sanitary sewer easement on Outlot 40 in the Terra Vesa plat.
I motion we approve R 20424.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dave.
Public sanitation.
Tim?
The fourth addition to Terra Vesa plat was approved by the city of Fitchburg by resolution R-41-24 on May 14th, 2024. Fitchburg Lands LLC entered into an agreement for subdivision improvement in the plat of fourth addition to Terra Vesa. This agreement requires Fitchburg Lands LLC to construct public sanitary sewers within the fourth addition to Terra Vesa plat and on Outlot 40 in the Terra Vesa plat. A public sanitary sewer easement is needed on Outlot 40 in Terra Vesa in order to operate and maintain public sanitary sewer installed on this outlot. Subdivider is willing to grant this easement at no cost to the city. We're looking for approval of a public sanitary sewer easement on Outlot 40 in the Terra Vesa plat, subject to final review and minor edits by the city attorney and director of public works.
Discussion. Go ahead, Dave.
Is this a temporary easement? It won't be needed later, or no? I'm sorry. It'll be on city land. Is that there was some particular thing with this that I'm missing? I don't have it in front of me here, but will the outlot be owned by the city?
It will be a permanent 20-foot wide public sanitary sewer easement, and it's not within city lands. It's on the Outlot 40, which is owned, I believe, by Fitchburg Lands LLC. So they're granting the easement for us so we can install our infrastructure to serve the fourth edition of Terra Vesa.
Thank you.
On the referral sheet, it says that the easement will terminate at the time the easement area is dedicated for public right-of-way purposes.
So yeah, okay, I corrected it. It is temporary until the road gets put in and the right-of-way dedicated. Then the easement will go away.
Thank you.
Clear as mud. Anything further?
So it's a temporary easement till it's built up and they'll connect by some other means. Is that what you just said?
Till the right-of-way is dedicated, then the easement will...
So they'll dedicate the right-of-way on lot.
Correct, the outlot.
Outlot.
Eventually a road will run over the top of this or right next to it or something, right? So this will be part of the public right-of-way. And the easement will no longer be necessary because it's part of the public right-of-way.
Yeah, once that public right-of-way is dedicated.
Okay. So outlot 40 and 39 are not buildable.
No, they're buildable. Outlot 40 is. It just hasn't been subdivided yet.
I presume if a road, if we're putting the sewer there and a road's going to go there, they're going to put buildings along the road eventually. Any other questions? Okay, I will call the vote. All in favor of resolution R20424, signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous. All right, heading into the home stretch here. 5M, looking for a motion to approve resolution R20524, accepting a public sanitary sewer and water main easement on Lot 1 in CSM 13827. That's Inspiration at Swan Creek.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Tim?
The Inspiration at Swan Creek CSM was approved by the City of Fitchburg by Resolution R-73-14. On November 9th, 2021, IP Holdings LLC entered into an agreement for subdivision improvement in the Inspiration at Swan Creek CSM. This agreement requires IP Holdings LLC to construct public sanitary sewers and water mains within the CSM. A public sanitary sewer and water main easement is needed on Lot 1 in the CSM in order to operate and maintain the public sanitary sewer and water main installed within the development. The subdivider is willing to grant this easement at no cost to the city. Looking for approval of a public sanitary sewer and water main easement on Lot 1 in the Inspiration at Swan Creek CSM.
Questions or comments from the board?
Tim, I assume when they install it, you send someone out there to check it out, right?
Absolutely. And we require as-built to make sure it's constructed within said easement.
And this is going to be a permanent easement along a private road that runs through the subdivision?
Correct.
Okay. Anything further from the board? All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution R20524, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's everybody. Moving on to 5N, resolution R20624, releasing a public utility easement on lots 6 and 7 in the Jamestown Commercial Edition plot. Who will move approval?
I move we approve R20624.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Tim, what's going on?
There is an existing 12-foot wide utility easement on lots 6 and 7 in the Jamestown Commercial Edition plat. This easement straddles the property line of these two lots and is partially located under an existing building. This utility easement is not needed for municipal utilities. We're looking for approval of the release of the public utility easement on lots 6 and 7 in the Jamestown Commercial Edition plat.
Discussion. Go ahead, Dave.
You're muted, Dave.
Tim, I looked at the map. What business does it go underneath? Do you recall which one it is?
I do not know. I can check on a map.
That building with the design center and Fit is the one I'm suspecting is what it goes under, but it's nothing to worry about.
Okay.
It's interesting, though, that it goes under a building, but it straddles two lots?
Two property line.
So does somebody own part of the building and somebody else own another part?
Whoever buys it will have fun.
Yeah. Well, with the redevelopment there, is that building going to stay or is that scheduled for demolition?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
If it's the building I'm thinking of, there's like 4 different tenants in the building, 4 different businesses in the same building.
So just so I have the action here is we're just releasing the easement because we have no use for it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, if there's nothing further, go ahead and call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R20624 signify by saying aye.
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 Unanimous. And our final agenda item here, 5O. I'm looking for a motion to approve Resolution R20724, accepting a public pedestrian/bike path easement and maintenance agreement on Lot 7 in Hartung Fields.
I so move we approve resolution
I'll move
number. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
I'll move approval.
You want to second that, Dave?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. Tim, tell us about this one.
The Hartung Fields plat was approved by the city of Fitchburg by resolution R-163-23 on November 29th, 2023. Hartung Brothers Incorporated entered into an agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Hartung Fields. This agreement requires Hartung Brothers Incorporated to construct a 10-foot wide concrete public multi-use path on Lot 7 in Hartung Fields and to enter into an easement agreement for maintenance of this path due to its proximity to a future building and parking lot. This easement and maintenance agreement defines the maintenance requirements for Hartung Fields and future Lot 7 property owners as required by the agreement. Looking for approval of a public pedestrian bike path easement and maintenance agreement on Lot 7 in Hartung Fields, subject to final review and minor edits by the city attorney and director of public works.
Is this one of the first 10-foot wide concrete paths we're going to have in the city? Because most of them are asphalt, are they not?
Correct. Most of them are asphalt. The construction cost is being borne by the developer for this. The reason for the concrete was just due to the proximity of the building and the parking lot, adjacent sidewalk to get into the building.
Okay, thanks.
John?
Tim, what kind of assurances or protections do we have? This one, I was reflecting to the one just before, where somewhere in the development, someone built on the easement, where I got to believe we would have had a restriction for allowing that. But be that as it may, this one, it's referencing the proximity. I'm just picturing they're going to park cars right tight to the building anyhow, and we won't have any enforcement ability on the 10-foot path.
So that there will be a curb in the parking lot, so that the cars, if they did park on the path, would have to go up and over the curb to park their vehicle. So that there would be the curb from preventing that from happening.
Okay. And same with the maintenance of it. They have to plow it, so they just won't plow over the parking lot and pour all the snow right on the slab or in the 10-foot pathway.
Correct. So that they'll be responsible for plowing the parking lot and then also the path and adjacent sidewalk to the buildings.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is going to be a multi-use path. It'll have a stripe down the middle or something, but it'll be close enough to the building that people are going to have to proceed cautiously, I presume, to avoid hitting people going in and out of the building.
Correct.
Anything else?
Do we specify the color? I mean, is it going to look green for bike path or?
There is, I don't know the specific color, but there will be a colored concrete transition for the path, so you will be able to see it. My assumption is it would be green because that's the standard color for that.
Okay, anything further? All right, call the vote. All in favor of resolution R20724 signify by saying aye.
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 Again, unanimous. Okay. Moving on. Agenda item 6, review items. 6A, review of utility P card and check payments. I presume everyone has scanned through these. Are there any questions? I had one question. Tim, how did we get into a situation where we had to cut a check for 50 cents?
Where specifically was that?
Oh, boy.
Fields, vegetation.
Yeah,
vegetation management.
Right.
It's almost going to cost more to cut it than it's worth.
Yeah, it's on page 3 of 5. Check 127679. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's the same check number. So
Yeah, it's all one check, so
Yeah,
just how
okay.
we coded it, it looks like 50 cents
Right.
got coded to the contingency line
Okay.
to probably utilize up the remaining funding there.
And the 3 checks we're paying in Nolan, that is the full works for that resurfacing, right?
What
They
page?
are check number 127659 on 1024. There's 3 of them. It's just a breakdown. Then
Yes,
it comes
that's
out to
for the
$58,408.
correct, the 2024 street resurfacing project.
Okay, thanks.
Tim, I was just tell me what the difference is on, because there's a bunch of those vegetative management ones. There was a advanced engineering CO1, and there's a couple CO1s by Field and Stream, and then a CO4. What's the difference? What are they doing different?
It's just a different pond location within the city. So they're going out to, the city-owned and maintained stormwater ponds, and each pond location kind of we get invoiced for. So whenever they go out and do work, they'll send us an invoice for that specific location, depending on the treatment that they performed, whether it was, applying herbicide or mechanically removing weeds or potentially mowing, burning. I believe we're going to be doing a couple ponds up here shortly.
Okay, so just removing invasive species.
Correct.
Okay.
There's a line in here for the Dane County landfill. We've got 87 tons of street sweepings. How much of that do we think is leaves? I mean, is that seasonal? I presume that's a bigger number than
Yeah,
other parts of the
seasonally
year.
you'll see an uptick in that, mainly being leaves. I believe in our recent report, the monthly reports that Administrator Brecklin sends out, I think in the Public Works street section, we specifies the amount that was leaves versus street debris. I can check that here real quick. Let me just, I believe that was in our last report. Yes, so in October of 2024, we swept about 750 cubic yards of leaves and then had 21 tons of dirt from the road.
Every once in a while I'll see, this time of year, somebody posts online that says, this is your periodic reminder that absolutely nothing bad will happen if you don't rake up your leaves. And I suppose that's true unless you live in the urban service area where the leaves can, get into the sewer system and make their way to the lakes and cause problems with phosphorus and whatnot. And then also, the street sweeper has to, I don't know, do they have to go and empty their truck early if they accumulate too much stuff, have to go back?
Absolutely, and this time of year we're running both street sweepers, so we've been doing that for several weeks now. Typically during summer we're just running one, but come end of September through October into November, as long as the weather cooperates, we're running 2 a day.
I was just going to give a suggestion on your Osmondson and Pembroke. You did a mill and chip seal on there. Mm-hmm. That orange sign is still up in there saying grooved pavement, and the sweeper has to go around it all the time. So, and there's an inlet right there, so
Okay.
they're really not able to pick it up without
Sure.
getting that orange sign out of there.
Any other commentary on the P card and check payments? Okay, moving on. Agenda item 7A, announcements. The next Board of Public Works meeting will be 2 weeks from now, Monday, December 2nd, 5:30, same room. Anything else?
I'm about to ask, but you must have made a mention about the speed thing not working, because now they fixed it.
I did. I mentioned that to Mark, and I believe he fixed it a week ago, maybe.
Last week, I think, or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
This was a speed board?
You record your speed when you come over the hill coming this way. It hasn't worked for pretty near a year.
Oh, the one on Pembroke?
No, right out here, Lacey.
Oh,
Lacey.
okay.
Right outside the driveway to get into City Hall, the eastern driveway. It's kind of up on the
I
hill.
just live 2 houses from it. I see it every day, and I knew it wasn't working.
Lights up your bedroom at night. Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion we adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 All right, we are adjourned at 6:40 p.m.